Now, if you're anything like me, you probably spend most of the day and part of the night thinking about fish. Not just because they're tasty, but also because most fish on the planet are facing hard times. Unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware of things like overfishing, pollution, habitat destruction, and yes, our old friend climate change. So my job is to try and help fish out, and one of the ways I do that is to understand what they do in their day-to-day lives, like where they live, where they travel, and where and when they spawn. These types of things give us a better idea about how to design management useful for conserving fish for the future. One of the most useful techniques we use to help us design marine management plans is acoustic telemetry. This is very simply the transfer of sound from one instrument to another, in this case, two pieces of electronic hardware, an acoustic tag, which transmits the information from the fish, an acoustic receiver, which stores the information until it gets downloaded. Each of these tags is designed to be unique by slightly modifying the signal pulse it sends out so we can identify individual fish. Once we place one of these tags in or on a fish, we can then use a series of these receivers to pick up the signal. Because these tags also send out the time and date, we can tell exactly when and how long a fish was in the area. All of these pieces of information are used to develop the proper type of management for each species. But the technology isn't just limited to fish. On land, it's used for a host of animals in need of management, like elephants, rhinos, and big cats that are all globally endangered. Imagine if you wanted to know whether an elephant was wandering outside a game reserve. You could use acoustic telemetry to tell you and perhaps modify your reserve or your enforcement to fit the needs of the animal. For fish, knowing the size of an area used by the species aids us in designing optimally sized marine protected areas, while understanding things like spawning times and sites that can be used to design things like catch or sell spans during these critical life history periods. Like cell phones, acoustic telemetry equipment will continue to get smaller, cheaper, and longer lasting as battery technology improves. Smaller and more powerful batteries and the resulting smaller tags means the whole tagging process becomes less invasive to the fish. Additionally, having tags that last longer enable us to gain more information from an individual fish. We already use things like satellite tags that send data to satellites and relay that information back to our computers. But the expense prohibits their use for a lot of researchers. So as that technology becomes cheaper, we'll start to learn a lot more about how to protect our precious yet vanishing wildlife.